Hi, I'm Jason from StrataGames. Over the weekend, I was able to take this Black Sac list into the Pauper challenge, and I was actually able to make top 8. I was recording, so that's the video you're about to see. But I also wanted to say this is the stock list that I have landed upon. This is the version that I think is best overall for the meta at the moment. Of course, you can find a deck list in the description, but I also wrote a 50-page comprehensive guide, pretty much all my thoughts on the deck. Why I included certain cards, why I excluded certain cards, mulligan decisions, and of course, a sideboard guide on over 30 decks in the meta right now. You can buy the guide directly on my Metafy, or you can sign up on my Patreon for just $10 for a single month, and you will also get access to the full guide. But let's give a quick overview of the deck. We have Carrion Feeder, Mortician Beetle, and Bloodthorn Vampire to take advantage of our fodder, those being Infestation Sage, Nested Shambler, Nezumi Linkbreaker, and a couple Shambling Ghasts. Most of these are double-body creatures, so we can get 2 sack activations, or Sactivations, for just 1 card. We have Village Rites to draw a couple more cards. Wedding Invitation and Rite of Consumption are our finishers. Rite of Consumption is a fling, and Wedding Invitation can make a creature unblockable. We have a couple Sadistic Glee, which can turn basically any of our random fodder creatures into a Mortician Beetle, growing with every creature that dies. A 1 of Life Staff to help survive any burn matchups. We have 2 Unearth and 3 Supernatural Stamina. These have very good different effects. Unearth can just buy back any of our creatures for really cheap, whether that creature died last turn or 4 turns ago. Supernatural Stamina combos really nicely with Nested Shambler to make 6 sack activations with just these 2 cards. Shambling Ghast can pick off an opposing 1/1 or can trade for a 2/2, and also just can be a free sack fodder if we sacrifice it to make a treasure. And a Curse Marauder is some main deck removal that we can recur with Unearth or Stamina. In our sideboard, we have removal in the form of Plagued Rusalka, which can just ping off a whole bunch of guys. Single Tragic Slip and Spinning Darkness for some single target removal, 2 Drown in Sorrows for any go-wide matchups, and we have 1 more Accursed Marauder. Then we have a couple Rotten Reunions, a Nile Spellbomb, and a Crypt Incursion for Graveyard Hate, another Sylvok Lifestaff as some life gain, and 4 Mesmeric Fiends to take cards from so many decks. They're good against combo, control, midrange, and even some of the tempo decks in the format. So these come in quite a bit. Let's jump into the games and I'll see you in the wrap-up. All right, here we are in round 1, and this hand does not look keepable. We need a pretty solid 3 cards if we are going to have 4 lands, and that's just not it. This one looks okay, though. So we're going to put back a Swamp. We're on the draw, so ideally we'll know what they're playing right away, so we can know if we want to lead on a Mortician Beetle. And looks like White Weenie could be Borosynth or something like that, but White Weenie is a tough matchup. It does mean we can probably lead on the Beetle, though. Maybe they just go Thraben Charm right away, but I think that's kind of fine for us. Seems unlikely as well. If they are Synth and they just play like a Mountain here, Bolt, maybe it's not great, but I'm going to assume White Weenie till proven otherwise. And they just pass with their Clue up. They did mulligan to 6, so might not have the best hand. Right is pretty decent for us. Looking for the future. So I think I'm just playing a Vampire and attacking with the Beetle. It's possible that I should just instead like go Linkbreaker, hold up Village Rites or something. But with the Rite of Consumption, if we're able to draw like a land here, it's possible that we can get like a pretty good attack in. I mean, I guess not probably lethal, because we're probably not gonna, because we'd have to like play Linkbreaker, sack twice, we'd hit for 5, 6, 7, 8. We could write for 7, so probably not going to be lethal or anything, but we can still just hit for a good amount. They do go for the Thraben Charm, actually, on the Beetle, which we knew was a possibility. I could sack it, but it doesn't really matter. So, not amazing for us, but also I think that they them not getting a 2-drop down on turn 2 is pretty decent for us. If they have another Thraben Charm for our Bloodthorn Vampire, I think that's going to be unfortunate and pretty unlucky. We do have an Unearth to buy back 1 of them, so it's possible this turn we could just go like Unearth Beetle, play Linkbreaker. They play another Inspector, a Life Staff. The annoying thing about White Weenie with Bloodthorn Vampire is that I can't really afford to attack in and just like sack a Linkbreaker to trade for an Inspector, because we're not going to be able to get a critical mass of fodder creatures. So we kind of just have to leave back the Bloodthorn Vampire until we can get big enough to go for a Rite of Consumption. For that reason, I think we're just trying to hit land drops. We're going to play a Linkbreaker and just sack right away. Sylvok Lifestaff is not totally useless here. Like, I'll start using it if we have the mana for it, but right now we just need to like build out our creatures and mana a little better. We didn't get a land, but we did get another Beetle, which is not bad. Because White Weenie also plays Prismatic Strands, it's generally better to go for a more sustainable, consistent, you can attack every turn play, that being Carrion Feeders and Mortician Beetles. So you can just beat in with like 5/5s every single turn, as opposed to going for an all-in Bloodthorn Vampire, which can work, but not if they have a single Prismatic Strands up. They get a Rafine's Informant, which could bin a Strands if we're unlucky. But it's just a Plains, which is nice. And they have a Lunarch Veteran. I did not know they made Lunarch Veteran in the retro frame, so that's pretty cool. And an Inspector. So a lot of creatures, a lot of chump blockers, but they're out of cards, except for clue tokens, obviously. Trying to decide if they want to attack in. They potentially would trade an Inspector for a Mercenary. I don't know if they want to make that trade. I certainly don't, though, so I'm happy to see them not attacking. And a Swamp is great. So I think we're just going Beetle, unearth our Beetle, and play a Shambler. And then we can Mercenary up the Shambler. Then we can attack with the Bloodthrone Vampire and sack the Shambler. We start growing these guys. I don't know if I actually want to sack the Shambler this turn. I'll probably want to do it next turn, but I think getting the Beetle back looks pretty good. Play Shambler, because it's possible we can also just go for an enormous attack next turn and maybe finish them off with the Rites of Consumption. So I think we're just holding back for now, but we're in a decent spot now. They have no attacks. The annoying part is they're going to just hold up clues, and so it's possible that they're just going to have a Prismatic Strands. But we can attack pretty easily with the Beetles if we have another Beetle. Because we can pump the Shambler. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 sacks. So these could be 5/5s pretty easily. So they could throw like 4 guys in front if they have a Prismatic Strands, which is not amazing. We also have the Life Staff, which is actually another one on the Shambler, though. We're going to play a Beetle, play the Life Staff, equip up to the Shambler, buff the Shambler, and I think we're just going to attack. They only have 1 card to have top decked the Prismatic Strands. If they got it, you know, that's pretty good for them. But if not, we can either hit in for a bunch here or get some decent chump blocks, which will help a lot in the future. We do some pretty mild blocks here. They don't block the Beetles. So I could go all in on the Beetles, and I could sack this 4 times and this once, and I could hit for 12. I mean, I could go even further, but 12 is probably what's reasonable, which is not bad, but then we're not going to have an enormous creature for a Rite of Consumption. We're certainly sacrificing at least a little bit. If we do sack the Shambler here, then we don't trade for the Informant, which I don't mind eating. So maybe I just sack the Mercenary and hit for 4. It's not a lot, but we do eat 2 of their guys, and we save a lot of our 1/1s for later on, which I think is best. So we're going to sack this. Always yes for all of the Beetles. I think we're just going to let this trade, deal some damage. And we gain some life, which is not irrelevant, but again, is not the biggest deal. And we'll pass. They're going to crack a couple clues on the end step. They're going to disturb the Luminous Phantom. Not the worst for us to see. Going to go for a big Thraben Charm is my guess for 8 on like the Vampire. No, just a core Skyfisher. Okay. Pick up an Inspector, land and replay the Inspector. Okay, so no Prismatic Strands is phenomenal. They're going to have to either make a lot of chumps, or I think we might be able to get them with this right. Shambling Ghast is not bad. It can pick off a blocker in the Phantom. Then we attack with everything. These could be like 6/6s pretty easily. All right, we're just going to go for it. Just play the Ghast, sack it. -1/-1 to the Phantom, since it's the only 1/1. We're going to swing with the team. And now, what's the biggest we can make the Vampire? We sack these 3, it's a 9/9. Then post-combat, we can make it a 15/15, which means as long as we get in for at least 3 damage, which I think is impossible to not, then we should be able to kill. They're understandably trying to chump what they think they have to and then eat a couple squirrels. We sack these 2 squirrels. These would be 10/10s. We hit for 11, and then we can do a right pretty easily. They go for that. Sack some squirrels. And if we did sack this, this, and this, then we would be hitting for 16. So yeah, they've made it so that they don't die right here without a Rite of Consumption, but luckily we do have it. So we're just going to throw that at them with the Vampire. All right, so here we get our Drown in Sorrows, Plague Drusulka, our Rotten Reunions, and our Spellbomb as board clear and graveyard hate for Prismatic Strands. And we get to take out a Cursed Marauder because they have too many creatures for it to be worth it. Unearth, because I really only like Unearth in the deck if we're playing either Marauder or Fiend. Sylvac Life Staff because it's not super irrelevant. And just a 1-of Nezumi Linkbreaker because they're the easiest to cut. Here we have a 1-lander, which is not amazing, but we do have a Village Rites to draw. We have a Carrion Feeder. Sadistic Glee could be decent on like a Sage token or something. We're on the draw. Our opponent mulligans to 6. It's tough because our best card in this match is definitely Drown in Sorrow, and so we need to not only draw that, but 2 more lands. But I think we have enough value here that I'm going to keep it. Opponent mulls to 6 and doesn't have a 1-drop, which is pretty nice for us. And we draw our land right away. Pretty lucky. So I could just play a Carrion Feeder. There's really no way that they could kill it without a 1-drop, because then they couldn't Thrave and Charm it. Maybe in the sideboard they have like Journey to Nowhere. You could have like a Destroy Evil, but that's not going to kill it for a little while. I think there's no reason to not lead on the feeder here. So I could be proven wrong, but that's what we're going with. They cycle in Eagles, okay? For an Idyllic Grange, meaning they already have at least 1 Plains in hand, I would bet maybe 2. Otherwise it'd be crazy. Now they draw Lunarch Veteran. That had to be for turn. I'm getting the sense their hand is not amazing, because they also didn't play a 2-drop here, but they just drew a 1-drop, so maybe they only have like a Core Skyfisher as a 2-drop. Another Swamp is not bad. I think we're good on lands now, but I think we probably just play like Linkbreaker and Sage, so that we just have a Carrion Feeder that can grow pretty easily. And then they're not going to block. I think I'm going to sacrifice just the Infestation Sage. A little bit of extra damage, but I think next turn we're going to want to Sadistic Glee up this Insect token and then continue growing it, so it basically becomes a flying Mortician Beetle. They have a Rafine's Informant. Ditch a Battle Screech, not bad. But they only have the Grange, so no 3 creatures this turn. Okay. Mortician Beetle's pretty good too. So I could play Mortician Beetle, Sadistic Glee on the Insect, and just attack in. Then I can Village Rites, the Link Breaker. I think we just swing here. They're going to take it. So I guess I could just Supernatural Stamina the Link Breaker, because I kind of want that to be around for this guy, which means we could have 4 sacks there, which would mean we'd be hitting for 11. We can't quite deal lethal with the Beetle, but yeah, I think actually we're going to go for the Stamina on this guy, because we just get a lot more value out of it this way. Always yes to our triggers, and then sack him again, and then hit for 7. I think we want to hit for as much as possible as quickly, but I will save 1 Mercenary for the Village Rites, so I think we'll hit for 9. Start presenting a bunch of lethal attackers next turn. And Insect token ideally will start forcing some chump blocks by their flyers if they can get the Battle Screech out, as well as our other creatures forcing chump blocks on the ground. They have another Battle Screech. That's pretty good for them. Life gain, and that allows them to flashback both their Battle Screeches if they want. Gaining more life. It leaves them with only 2 chump blockers, but I'd have to get pretty good cards for us to really be able to get around that. And they do. This also means if they have just like a Guardian's Pledge, we can be in danger of losing next turn, which is pretty unfortunate. Although I think we can probably force a couple chumps here. So all we have is a Village Rites. I think we're going to start with that. So I'm going to use our Mercenary to pump our Beetle, then sack the Mercenary. Infestation Sage and a Spell Bomb. Spell Bomb being 1 turn too late is pretty annoying. But we'll play an Infestation Sage and swing with 3 guys. I mean, this is going to force 2 chumps, which makes it a lot harder for us to die next turn. So they only chump 1. These are both 5, so I'd only need to... I could sacrifice all 3 of these and I would kill them. They do go for the blocks. Do I want to add 1 damage? I already go into 11. 1 damage is good, though, because Veteran is gaining him life. I think we'll just keep it, though. And we're going to go shields down, no cards in hand, but I want the Spell Bomb out, and if I do end up cracking it with like a Battle Screech or something, I would like to have the card draw for sure. They have an Inspector. Alright, they seem pretty comfortable attacking with 4 birds, which tells me they probably have a Prismatic Strands up, which is annoying. I could sack the Sage and eat a bird. We don't have a creature for like a Village Rites off the top, but we do slow the attacks. I think we're just going to take it this time. Rotten Reunion also is decent for a Prismatic Strands. Let's just swing with the crew here. They could just be doing some chumps. Technically, I could go for lethal on this with sacrificing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards, but we're not going to do that knowing that they could just have a Prismatic. I'm happy if we get to just eat these 2 and hit for 7. And if not, we get rid of the Prismatic right now. They have a Destroy Evil. That's pretty annoying, to be honest. Okay. Well, we will just sacrifice that because we don't have any other way to use it. So we'll grow our guys. We will hit for some damage here. Or not damage, but kill their guys, which still isn't bad. We're going to crack the Spell Bomb to see if we draw anything because we have a Rotten Reunion for if they do get a Prismatic. And we'll play a Carrion Feeder. We're still not in a bad spot. It's possible that they didn't want to use the Prismatic because we had the Spell Bomb, and now they'll be more likely to use it, but also just kind of forced to use it, and then we'll have the reunion for it, which will help. Sun Lance. Well, that's one I haven't seen in a while. I could keep the Carrion Feeder alive if I sack this and I Rotten Reunion. Question is, do I want 3 creatures? Kind of. So if I have 3 attackers, it's a lot harder. It's a lot harder to go all in on these 2 and make them actually lethal. I do need to be wary about a Guardian's Pledge, but they're going to have to leave back some blockers. I think I'm just sacking this to this other one. They're going to swing with 3 birds. I think I'm happy to trade this Sage for one of the birds now. We have a Rotten Reunion if we do get a Village Rites, and I'd like to slow their clock as much as possible. If they are having a chump with these 2, then we're already in a really good spot, so I just don't want to take more damage than I need to. They're tanking. I guess it's possible they have like a Thraben Charm or something that they could use on an insect. Seems like they would probably want to just go for it on one of these guys, but I don't know. They do let us block, and we'll just go for the trade. So we'll take 2. They pass to us. We just get a swamp, which is pretty bad. We're in a fine spot, I think, depending on what their last card is. But not drawing a relevant card here is pretty frustrating and could lead to us losing potentially. So we're swinging with our 8/8s. They could just chump 1, knowing that it's unlikely we can, and they do, unlikely we can kill them with this one. We're actually 1 away. I think it's very unlikely they have a Prismatic Strands here based on how they've played, so if I had the ability to make this lethal, I probably would, but that's not going to happen here. They go to 4, and we're just going to pass. The good news is double Rotten Reunion provides us with 4 power worth of creatures, so it's possible if they leave back blockers just for our 2 big guys, that we can instant speed make 4 damage, and we maybe can get them that way. They do crack their clue, so they're at 3 cards. One of them's a Veteran, which could take off that option with the Rotten Reunion from the table. Yep, with a Skyfisher, they're going to gain at least 1 life here. Probably pick up a Grange. Buff up a bird token, try to make their aerial clock better, I assume. Yep. Swing for 4. If they keep getting enough chump blockers, it's possible we're just going to lose this race. Part of why I wanted to kill that bird earlier, and did. Drown in Sorrow is pretty good, though. I mean, I don't think there's a lot to think about. Our guys are still both going to be lethal. So let's just drown. It makes it so that they lose one of their blockers, which could kill them if they don't have a Destroy Evil or a Thraben Charm or something. Also forces the Skyfisher chump block, which they're already pretty much on, but it also just clears up our guys. All right. Got there against White Weenie, which is one of our tougher matchups. All right, here we are, round 2. This hand's pretty tough. This is kind of in the in-between. No sack outlet generally means it's not worth keeping. We do just have a variety of fodder. A Beetle and Lifestaff can be good depending on the matchup. I don't think this is a keep, unfortunately. I think we need to have a more proactive game plan. Well, in general, yes. If we never find a sack outlet, it's pretty bad. But I guess we do just have enough fodder that we can kind of just go aggro in that regard. Sylvok Lifestaff combos with the Shambler a little bit. So it's possible we can just do a go wide strategy, which is definitely like the tertiary win con, like after a Rite of Consumption or just attacking is go wide. I guess I'll give it a try. If we go up against mono red, this is actually really good, but against most anything else, it's not amazing. Definitely wanted to mulligan it, but we'll see what we can do. All right, they play an Aquifer. Probably means some sort of Dimir control. Not my favorite, to be honest. Mono red would have been really nice. But in general, we're already pretty favored against this type of matchup. Mostly because they play a lot of snuff outs. Also, they might be playing Spellstutter Sprite, so I actually think I'm going to get a Mortician Beetle down here first. This hand can still be really good if we get a Carrion Feeder and can land it. We did get an Unearth, which helps because if we do draw a Carrion Feeder and it gets countered, we can bring it right back. They're just leaving up 2 mana, which we know what that means. Probably a Spellstutter Sprite. We did get the Carrion Feeder, so I could just try to slam that and unearth it when it gets countered, because it will get countered. But then all we have is like throw fodder into a counterspell, then get 1 through. Then we have 2 3/3s attacking. It's not terrible. Don't love it. You know, in general, I wouldn't attack here. But if I attack and they do Spellstutter to trade with this, I can actually just unearth the Beetle and play the Carrion Feeder. And it's even better than if we get the Carrion Feeder countered. Because we'll still have both our creatures, but they won't have a Spellstutter Sprite. So I'm just going to do it. I wouldn't do this if they were like only showing islands, because I could think that it was like Brine Barrow Intruder. But since they're on Dimir, I assume they'll just take a damage here, but maybe they go for the Spell Stutter block. All right, they're just going to take the damage. I could also just cast a piece of fodder, and if they don't counter it, I cast nothing. And if they do counter it, then I get my feeder down. But I kind of need the feeder at some point. I'm just going to go for it. I know it's getting spell stuttered, but we get it through the Unearth. It's not getting spell stuttered. Maybe it's just getting killed with a cast down? Since they didn't spell stutter this, I think I'm just going to play a Link Breaker, because I can't imagine they're going to go for this over it. Or maybe they were worried about like a Tragic Slip, but they go for a Brainstorm. Okay. I mean, this is turning out way better than we expected. Like, landing both of those is really good. Mental Note. Okay. So they did have a Snuff Out and a Crawl from the Cellar, so they are actually Dimir Terror. Which makes sense. They obviously could have still had a Counterspell, but that's why no Spell Stutter. Mental Note into an Island and a Philology, so they have 5 spells in Graveyard. So they could get down a Terror. Brainstorm first. Good thing is if they land a Terror, I can just put down 2 pieces of fodder. These can be as big as 7/7s, so they can't even block. And they do. Village Rites. I kind of want to Village Rites a Link Breaker, but if I just do that now and I don't hit a land, then I can play an Infestation Sage or whatever. I actually can't make these big enough to outgrow this Terrors. So I believe we just play these 2 and attack. So the good thing about this deck is that their main removal is Snuff Out, so we're not in super danger of these guys getting removed. And as soon as they're bigger than a Terror, we can just start beating in for a bunch of damage. I do probably want to leave back a Chump Blocker for the Terror, because they could get an Unexpected Fangs on it, which gains life, which could throw off the race a little bit. But here, if they block a feeder, we will sack 5 of our 6 fodder creatures to eat it. Same with the Beetle. If they block Link Breaker, we'll just sack it, probably the Sage, for like 6 damage. And they do block the Link Breaker, which was what my instincts told me. So we'll sacrifice, sack the Sage as well. Mercenary is really good with the Nested Shambler, but I actually think we'll just sack the Insect token for just a little more damage. Just hit hard quickly. Since I know we're already probably going to need to bring them up above a 5/5, I'm happy to just hit real hard real quick. They got a Gurmag Angler. Having 2 of these out does make it a little bit tougher, because now suddenly these have to be at least a 10/10, or they can just go for a double block. But I do have the ability to Mercenary the Shambler. I can play a Life Staff on the Shambler. That could be 3. That'll be 5, so these could be 9/9s. Not quite right. They also have Counterspell mana up, so it's actually a little awkward. I think I'm just going to play this Life Staff. I don't expect it to eat a Counterspell. Oh, they have a Spell Pierce. Fair enough. Okay. But now they don't have a Counterspell, so I can... Maybe they have another Spell Pierce. But I can try Unearthing. Let me try Unearthing a Link Breaker. I have a Spell Pierce for that, too. Okay. So yeah, I can buff this. Now I can only make these 8/8, so I can't really attack. But next turn I can start Village Rightsing, draw some cards. Maybe it would have been better to get one of those countered since I have 2 of them. They have a Lorien Reveal. That's not bad, but if we can just make it so that they have to chump this turn, that'd be pretty good for us. Swamp's okay with the Village Rites. We don't have much to do except just start by pumping the Shambler. We're actually going to sack the Mercenary, though, because if we get a Supernatural Stamina, we can use that on the Shambler for a lot more value. So draw 2, grow the Beetle. Link Breaker and another Beetle isn't bad. Play Link Breaker, that means we have 5 things we can sacrifice. Play a Beetle, that makes 10. Which means the Carrion Feeder actually can't quite attack. Well, we could do it, but it would be double trading. Wait, so if we play both of these, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures we could sacrifice, which would make Beetle lethal, which means they have to chump Beetle, which means they can't double block Feeder, which means we're in the clear. So let's do that. Play these 2 and swing with the crew. And now they have to chump the Beetle, and they could block Beetle and Shambler, and the best we could do is 10 damage on the Feeder, so we'll actually, do not quite that much. But they go for a double block on the Beetle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can deal them 10 damage, put them to 1, and also have this Beetle survive, eating both of their guys. So we'll start sacrificing these guys. Sack the Shambler. Oh, I apparently miscounted somewhere, because this Feeder is definitely also lethal. 11. I didn't count that if I sack this Beetle, so I can actually just hit them for 11 here. Perfect. So they actually had to block both of those, and I had just miscounted because I had forgotten to factor in that I could sack the Beetle, which is obviously something you want to do. So for here, I like to bring in Cursed Marauder and Tragic Slip as more removal, Mesmeric Fiends as counterspell bait, and just see what they're working with, Nile Spellbomb to blow up their graveyard. Rotten Reunion just is like pinpoint removal for the graveyard, so they have a little bit of flashback stuff. I don't think it's super necessary here. We really just want to take out the whole thing. And we can take out the Wedding Invitations and Rite of Consumptions because Rites die to counterspells really easily. Anytime they have a blue or 2 up, it'd be pretty much impossible to cast the Rite. Wedding Invitation, we don't really need to attack past their creatures. If we just force them to chump, they have few enough creatures and they're big enough that I don't mind them losing them. Life Staff doesn't do enough. Shambling Gas, they don't have anything to pick off with it. And a 1 of Link Breaker just because it's the worst of our fodder. And I'd prefer a Mesmeric Fiend over it. Here we have the old 1-lander on the draw. Unearth and Stamina, Sadistic Glee. Glee on a Sage token could be pretty good. I think we'll give it a try. There are definitely 1-land hands that I don't like to keep. It's a lot easier when you just top deck a swamp. But there are 1-land hands that I don't like to keep, but as long as you have fodder, card draw, and then beyond that, ideally you have some utility, which we actually have a lot of utility here, and then a finisher, a grower of some sort. Usually you can keep those hands, and maybe they don't pan out, but often they will. Start with a Brainstorm into an Aquifer. We get a Mesmeric Fiend, so we can't play that this turn. We could, but obviously then we would not be able to sacrifice it. So I think the best thing to do here is just swing. I could go for a Stamina and a Village Rites to try to hit our 3rd land drop, which we're really looking to need. Or I could just play a Bloodthorn Vampire. That doesn't feel quite as good, to be honest. I think I'm just going to go for this. Most of the time, I would much prefer... Obviously, if this was a Nested Shambler, we'd get 3 squirrels, so it'd be a lot better, but we just don't have that. Most of the time, I prefer to just throw out the Bloodthorn Vampire, but if they have a removal spell for our Vampire, we have an Unearth, but otherwise it's kind of bad. We didn't need a second one, although if it gets dead, now we don't have to Unearth it. But we drew our land, so I'm not too upset. In their upkeep, they ditch their Brainstorm cards, Crawl from the Cellar, and Deep Analysis. And then they Mental Note again, hit a Thought Scour, so they could just Terror here. That's pretty bad for us. Or they could Gurmag, which is a little bit better. They do. Carrion Feeder's nice, because that actually lets us play Mesmeric Fiend in the same turn, which is really what I want to do. I want to make sure, like, 1 Gurmag we can deal with. I want to make sure that there's not a lot of other scary stuff coming up. So let's just go with the Feeder, or the Fiend, rather. So many FE cards. They have Rotten Reunion, which is not a big deal. I mean, good to know about for Unearth. Arms of Hadar, a Gurmag Angler, another one, but that one's not coming for a little while, and a Brainstorm. In general, I don't care about Arms of Hadar. It could wipe some of our fodder here. They only have a tap land for it, though. I kind of think I just want to take Brainstorm. None of the rest do a ton, although I will say Rotten Reunion can hit the Fiend, and Unearthing the Fiend would be pretty good. Yeah, I actually do think I want to Unearth Fiend, so let's just take the Rotten Reunion for now. It does give them some decent value. And let's just hit for 1. If they Arms of Hadar, it's not the end of the world, but they do need to draw an untapped land for that. It's also possible they just won't get it. Let's start with the Brainstorm. They're going to swing. I think I'm fine taking it, because I kind of want to sadistically up this Insect, get it out of range of the Arms of Hadar, and then start sacrificing like Sage and stuff. So I think I'll take 5 this turn. Nice Tunnel and Pass. Another Fiend. Okay. So I don't even have to go for the Unearth this turn. Just for mana efficiency. I think we'll sadistically up the Insect. They have a Cast Down or something. You know, so be it. They have an Agony Warp. Close enough. It's going to kill the Insect. Also shrink the Feeder. Okay. It happens. We can Bloodthorn Vampire or Mesmeric. I guess they could get down another Gurmag this turn, which I don't really like the sound of. I think we'll sack the Fiend, see what they got. They have a Terror as well, and a Mental Note, which means that they probably brainstormed the arms back to top of their deck. Terror currently costs just as much as the... Arms is in their hand. Gurmag, they put back on top, understandably. Probably going to mill it with the Mental Note. So I think we just take the Terror. We are a little light to having to chump block 2 of these. Of course, they get a Gurmag, but that's fine. And we'll attack for just 1, unfortunately. And we will chump this turn. They draw Brainstorm, decide not to Mental Note in their upkeep. So they can get a Gurmag if they want. Mental Note away the Arms of Hadar. Swing. We'll block and grow our Feeder. Flashback a deep analysis. And then Gurmag. Yeah, not too bad for them. Swamp's pretty bad for us. They have a lot of cards, but I almost feel like I need to unearth just like a Sage just to have more chump blockers. Could also just play 2 Bloodthrone Vampires this turn. Diversify our threats a lot. We're either hitting for 6 or we're eating their Gurmag this turn, which is not bad. Now, if they attack back for 10, I think we take it. If they have an Unexpected Fangs, it could be bad, but otherwise I think it's okay. Yeah, let's swing. Maybe I should have just left back the Insect token, since Carrion Feeder could be lethal next turn anyway, but play 2 Vampires, and next turn we can decide what to do with the Unearth. They have a Shrivel. That's pretty annoying. Definitely worse since we played 2 Bloodthrone Vampires, but we will keep one of them alive, and I guess we'll sack the other to the Feeder. Or I could sack the other to the Bloodthrone so that it could trade for an Angler. Yeah, Carrion Feeder is going to be lethal either way with this Unearth. So is a Bloodthrone Vampire. So I'd rather keep 2 lethal attackers, so I guess I'll sack Feeder, the Bloodthrone to the Feeder. I guess I could just disincentivize them attacking. I think we'll just sack it to the Feeder. They have an Aquifer, no attacks. Now we have the same problem as last time, which is that we can't really attack into this because it gets double blocked. Unless we make this lethal too, which is we could do with an Infestation Sage, which means they block both. This eats this, but then I have to sack the Infestation Sage to trade the Bloodthrone Vampire, which I don't love. But I'm trading it with this, and we're keeping a Carrion Feeder. Kind of want a Mesmeric Fiend to see what they're working with, but then I can't attack with either of my guys. I think we go for the Sage. It forces them to lose both their creatures here, so then they need a removal spell or another creature to not die next turn. If they have a Rotten Reunion right here, it's pretty bad for us, but we can't do anything about it. I guess I could have cycled the Unearth, but I don't think that's where we want to be. I have a Suffocating Fumes in response. Yeah, that's annoying. I mean, there's no way I'm sacrificing the Feeder to the Bloodthrone Vampire, so I'll just do it the other way around. This could be an 8/8 this turn, which means I can't attack, so we're passing now. They did have a removal spell. Luckily, it was only on the small guy and before attacks. Deep Analysis is not bad for them. Just drawing some more cards. If they flash it back, I'm going to sack this Sage to make a flyer. They Thought Scour. Did enough spells to get a Terror down. No attacks, though. I think we're just going to pass then. Link Breaker. If they have a Cast Down, it's really, or like another Agony Warp, it's really rough. Because I can attack with the Carrion Feeder. If they double block, I sack everything, make it an 11/11. But if they have any tricks, I kind of throw the game. But I don't think things are getting better for us by top decking. So I think we're going for it. This is kind of the equivalent of sacking everything for a Rite of Consumption with the possibility of walking into a counterspell. But as an aggro deck, sometimes you just got to do it. Got to make them have it. And they did. Unfortunate. Can't imagine there's anything we draw that gets us out of this now. They do Deep Analysis. Thought Scour. Mental Note. Unexpected Fangs. Yeah, that's definitely going to do it. With a Swamp on top, we weren't winning with their Cast Down regardless. But it's possible that we could have drawn it out longer. Drawn into something else. I mean, yeah, Curse Marauder could have been pretty okay. That's 3 turns. I don't know. I think we did okay. They had a little more removal than I was kind of anticipating. So I'm actually going to take out the Sadistically's 4 Rotten Reunions and see how that goes. I thought that they were probably going to be playing like 4 Snuff Outs, and they may be, but I thought that would mean that the most they would have is like a couple other removal spells, and they seem to have more than I anticipated. Oof. This hand is not great. It's not proactive. We don't have a Grower. Marauder's good in this matchup, but they're not likely to get a Terror down before turn 3 or 4, which means it's kind of slow. It's our only sack outlet, but it's possible we could just like play a Shambler on 1, Mesmeric Fiend on 2, with no sack outlet. Turn 3, we go for a Supernatural Stamina on the Nested Shambler, Marauder. But they also have Shrivel and Suffocating Fumes that we saw, so I don't think the go-wide strategy is really great. We're going to give it a try, though. I think there's a possibility for this to be pretty powerful. If we top deck a Carrion Feeder or a Village Rites, we can just go for the turn 2 Shambler Stamina into sack, which is really strong. made worse by the fact that they could just have a Spell Pierce. Bloodthorn Vampire is decent. We are just going to play that Bloodthorn Vampire. I mean, that's exactly what we were wanting with the hand, was a grower. So I'm not going to turn that down. It allows us to Mesmeric Fiend next turn. If we're lucky enough we draw a land, maybe we can Fiend first, make sure the coast is clear, then we Supernatural Stamina the Shambler, and we hit for... I mean, that would be like hit for 15 if we wanted. They Brainstorm. They do just leave up Counterspell mana, but we do get that Swamp. We got a Fiend. They're probably just going to Counterspell it, but that's part of its job, is to walk into a Counterspell. And I hope they don't have a Shrivel, but we are definitely going to hit for 4 here. And then sack. I could sack all. This is 6 triggers. This would be 13 damage, but I'm not going to go all in yet. So we're just going to hit here, and then we're going to sack. So a Shrivel or a Suffocating Fumes does wipe most of our board, but just got to hope for none of that. Mental Note in their upkeep. They had a Gurmag and a Contaminated Aquifer. Ice Tunnel is pretty good. Just an Island up. Carrion Feeder. I mean, I can't imagine they're playing like Vapor Snag or something, which means this is 5-7. This could be lethal right now. The Link Breaker. We sack everything to the Bloodthorn Vampire. I think the only thing that they can have is a Counterspell, which like a Spell Pierce, a Dispel, or like even like an Annul or something. I've never seen anyone play a Vapor Snag in this type of a deck, so we are not going to respect that, and we are going to go for lethal. Here is 15 damage coming at you. They got a Thought Scour. Whew. All right, we got there. A bit nerve-wracking at the end there, but able to take it down. All right, we're on the play here. Whew. This is not a great hand. 3 lands is fine, but we currently have 3 cards that don't do anything. We don't have a turn 1 play. Bloodthorn Vampire doesn't have anything to sacrifice. When we get a single piece of fodder, we can draw 2 off of it, unearth it. We can do a lot of stuff. But even a single piece of fodder, unless we also like draw into a right of consumption, isn't really going to win us the game. So I don't think this is a keep. This one is so much better. If we don't have like any interaction, like a bolt or anything up turn 1, we can go Shambler. Turn 2, we can Stamina the Shambler and Village Rites. We draw 2 cards, then we get 4 1/1s, and that alone can be a decent win con. So this one's solid. We do have to throw something back. It feels like it might be the Right of Consumption because we might be just going the go wide route. But if we keep the right and get rid of the Shambling Ghast, 1 Bloodthorn Vampire off the top can just be like a 13 damage. Carrion Feeder could be like a 7 damage. I think actually we're going to get rid of the Ghast. All right, that's what we're going to do. Start with the Shambler and pass. Now, things don't go quite as we want them to if they are like mono red and just... Well, they'd have to be mono red and not play a 1-drop. Right? If they just leave up a single mountain, we can't really Stamina because then they can bolt it. But even if they're red and they go with like an Epicure, then we can still do that, and it's not too bad then. They just play a Forest, which means it can be in several different decks, but it means one big thing, which is they probably do not have interaction of any kind. Because it probably means Gruul Ramp, although no 1-drop usually leads me to believe it's more like Spy combo, 5 or 6 land Spy. It could also be Walls or Elves, but those also usually have a 1-drop. Walls, not quite as much. But in any case, we're absolutely just going for 3 damage and make 4 dudes and draw 2 cards. Nice little combo, no interruption. And I assume maybe they like cycle a Generous Ent on the end step here. Another Stamina is pretty funny. Oh, look, they cycle a Generous Ent. Dude, if they don't do anything else, we can just Supernatural Stamina the Shambler and then write them for 3 to get our sack effect. That might be worth it. Winding Way. Okay, we're going to see what they are this time. They are Elves, just with no 1-drop. I mean, I'm okay with that. Go Wide is probably better against Elves anyway, because it's harder for them to chump. They discarded Timberwatch Elf, which is crazy to me. Okay, so we can Supernatural Stamina this, hit for 6. They go to 11. We rights them, they go to 8. And then we have 7 1/1s. I mean, that seems like an incredible way to win. And I think it is our best bet. If we had another sack outlet, we would obviously use it, but this one will work fine in a pinch. So we don't quite have lethal next turn unless we get like another Stamina, but they gotta come back from this real quick. They got a Mystic. They are playing their Well-Wisher. I mean, technically they can survive here. either blocking with the Mystic or just not blocking at all, and then Well-Wisher can gain them a sizable amount of life next turn. It's not unthinkable that they could stabilize here, but ideally that will not happen. Well, we got a Carrion Feeder, which would have been really good if we kept the rights, but it's still not terrible. I mean, we're just swinging with 7/1/1s and playing 3 more. I think in their position they probably just shouldn't block because the Mystic not blocking saves them a life with the Well-Wisher anyway. And if they're going to have a chance at coming back from this, they obviously need every resource they can. And they agree. Down to 1. We'll play out a bunch of guys. They need 5 blockers, and then they gain 5 life from the Well-Wisher, and that can keep them alive. All right. They did not have it. Very nice. So we get pretty much all our removal. Drown in Sorrow being the best one here. Spinning Darkness, like Drusalka, and Tragic Slip. And we also get all 4 of our Mesmeric Fiends to snag whatever important card is from their hand. I guess not all our removal. Marauder's pretty useless here. Take out Life Staff, take out our Glees. And this is one where a lot of our utility is really good. Rite of Consumption, Wedding Invitation are pretty good. Unearth is good with our Mesmeric Fiends. So we actually just cut, and Shambling Ghast is good because it picks off guys. So we actually just cut a couple Link Breakers and a couple Infestation Sages. But we're not going down on fodder because the Fiends fill that role too. This hand's only got a little bit of disruption with the Shambling Ghast, but it does have a pretty fast start with a Beetle and a Carrion Feeder, and the Ghast is pretty relevant. If we can pick off a Priest of Titania or something, it'll be pretty good. So I think we're going to keep this one. This is just the type of hand that goes pretty quick, but also anything we draw just really adds to the hand. Rite of Consumption, not terrible, to be honest. We're going to play a Carrion Feeder just on the off chance we get like a Mesmeric Fiend or something off the top, and maybe we want to play that instead. They have a Fyndhorn Elves, now a Llanowar, and another Fyndhorn Elves. No other 1-drop, though. Infestation Sage. So you don't really want to spend a Ghast picking off a random dork like this because there's just too many of them to deal with. So I think we're saving that for something later and just playing a Mortician Beetle and a Link Breaker. Link Breaker so that if we turn it into a mercenary, it can grow the Nested Shambler, grows even more of our creatures. And they're just going to take it. We are going to sack once, since I know I want to sack that guy anyway. There are also some matches where you might just want to cycle the Shambling Ghast for a treasure so you can cast another card really quick. Maybe we'll get there if the right situation happens, but Elves is a match where we want the removal as much as possible. So they go for a Winding Way. They hit Nyxborn, a Fyndhorn Elves, and a Quirion Ranger. Quirion is one we might want to pick off with the Shambling Ghast. They go for another Winding Way. They hit a Mystic and a Well-Wisher. Nothing terrible. Well-Wisher can set us back, so it's possible that's the one we'll need to pick off. That might be what they play here, yeah. Because if they just start gaining 5 to 7 life every single turn, we're not going to win. Stamina's pretty good, though. That's interesting, because I could play Shambler, buff it with the Mercenary, Supernatural Stamina it. That makes it 4 power, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sacrifices. So these can be hitting for 20. So if they don't chump, then we get them. But that seems unlikely. So I think what we do is we play the Shambler, we buff it, and then we go to attacks. Because they can Quirion Ranger on tap and block, but if they don't block, which they might not, then I can Stamina, I can just get them for lethal. If they do block, we're just going to go with the Shambling Ghast on the Well-Wisher route, I think. They don't block. Let me count my math again, but Stamina on this makes 4 squirrels, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It dies again, 7, 8. Mortician Beetles, this should be lethal. So we will attempt to hit for 20 damage right here. And I'm not sure what they could have to stop it. And get in for lethal. And that's all it takes. One more land than we want. Double Grower, which is good if one gets eaten. I don't think it's bad enough to throw back, though I don't love it. And since we have 2 sack outlets, I think I'm just going to lead on the Feeder. If it gets bolted, it's kind of annoying, but if we happen to be up against a combo deck or something, it'd just be nice to have a little bit of a faster start. Although I guess if we don't really draw anything relevant and they play something that indicates faster, then we could like Bloodthrone Vampire, maybe. They go with Tomb Raider, though, so looks like red, which means kind of good they didn't get rid of the Feeder. Infestation Sage. So now, if we just go Bloodthrone Vampire, we can't really protect either of them, and if they kill both, we're in a bad spot. So we just got to go double fodder, and I think we just grow a little bit here to get out of a bolt range. In fact, yeah, I think we're just going. We're also racing, right? So I think we're just hitting for 4 and passing. This guy can be good for village rights or just a chump blocker or whatever. If they double bolt the feeder, maybe it's not the best thing ever. For that reason, I think maybe we don't block here. Don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. So if we have to pivot to the Bloodthorn Vampire, I'd like as much fodder as possible. We go for a Ren's Resolve, Bolt, and an Epicure. Okay. We get a Beetle. That's not bad. So it's a little awkward because I can't play all 3 of these, and I want to get the Beetle and the Shambler down, but then the Bloodthorn Vampire is the expensive one. But if I play both of these and I sack, Beetle's a 4/4, Feeder's a 7/7, that seems pretty solid to me. So I think we're just attacking. Like, we're going all in. Obviously, we're against red, which means we're in a race of some kind. This one just feels like it's gonna be very difficult for them to deal with our creatures. There's no reason we need to sack the insect now because we're getting in for just as much damage. So we can wait if they try to like bolt the beetle. And we can sack the insect. They start with the Epicure. They have another mountain. They're gonna bolt face. I will take it. And then no attacks. Interesting. Village Rights is a mystery box because I could just play Bloodthorn Vampire. That means Carrion Feeder is lethal, so it has to get chomped. And then I can attack with Beetle and Insect, and maybe they let it through. They take like 4, and the next turn it's really hard for them to survive. Yeah, I don't think I'm just Village Rightsing an Insect. Maybe I could get some like double fodder or something that's really good, but I think we're just going Bloodthorn Vampire, attacking with everything, and then when they try to kill something, we can Village Rights. Actually chump both, worried that they might die here. Maybe they can bolt the beetle and like trade for it, but if not, we just eat them both, and I'm good with that. Okay, they take 1. I suppose if they have a bolt here on the end step and then can bolt us 3 times, maybe they can get us, but otherwise seems difficult for them. I guess Fire Blast could make it so that it's a little easier. They do discard a mountain here. They start with a Synth into a Tomb Raider, which is a chump blocker, and an Epicure, and they're just gonna pass. I could Village Rights this insect token. I think that's fine. I don't think the damage from it's super relevant. I think drawing 2 cards just gives us a better opportunity to find something. And if they tried to like bolt the beetle in response here, I think I'd just be fine sacrificing the Bloodthorn Vampire. Rights and a Link Breaker aren't bad. Another Link Breaker. Well, we're just going to put both of those down to make any of our creatures lethal. And then they can't block them all, and I think that should just do it. So we will sacrifice a Link Breaker to the Bloodthorn Vampire. Sack the other Link Breaker, and then the Mercenaries. Alright, got game 1. Alright, against, I'm guessing Pinger Burn, because of the Ren's Resolves, is my main indication. We bring in Spinning Darkness, Crypt Incursion, Sylvok Lifestaff as life gain, and then Spinning Darkness and Tragic Slip also can kill pingers, which is really important. We take out the Sadistic Glees because they are able to bolt them down a little easier. Maybe we can get it to survive, a creature to survive, but not always. And then I pull out 1 Unearth and 1 Accursed Marauder. I don't want to pull out both Marauders because it can be decent to, like, if they chump block with a bunch of creatures other than the Pinger, then we can play the Marauder, make him sacrifice the Pinger, and also having Supernatural Stamina or Unearth to bring that back can be pretty good. So it's just a little bit more removal for the Pingers. Also, if they just land a Pinger on turn 2 without a turn 1 creature, it could be a nice way to take it away. Hand's not amazing. It's all in on Bloodthorn Vampire. Shambling Gas does pick off something. Just a lot of fodder. If they target Bloodthorn Vampire with a couple of bolts, we just kind of burn through our fodder really quickly, and then we don't really have anything. Which makes me think this might not be a keep. But if we just save it until we've gotten some of our fodder down, I think it might be okay. This is the type of hand that's really tough to throw away, and it may have been right to do so, but I have kept it. Shambler, just more fodder isn't really what we need. Let's just start with a Link Breaker. Could do a Ghast in case they get like a Tomb Raider and they can just trade for them, but I don't know. I think this might be fine. We're just gonna take the trade, especially when we're on the draw. Stopping any damage coming in is pretty important. Certainly if it only takes half our card. There's the Flame Breather, so if we, yeah, an Accursed Marauder would be really good here, but we don't have that, so I'm forced to just play a couple of guys. I don't think I can play a Bloodthorn Vampire because I can't protect it against a bolt. So I'm going to play just a Shambling Ghast and an Infestation Sage and pass. Definitely awkward. We're kind of drawing what I feared we would draw, which is a whole lot of the same. They get then the festivities. They have the mountain, so that's pretty annoying. They use it right away. We'll make a treasure token. First Marauder off the top would be nice. Come on. Or Spinning Darkness. Unearth is not really what we need, but we are getting enough. Maybe we can go for a big Bloodthrone Vampire. We're going to attack for 1. They are only at 3 cards. I mean, that's kind of a lot, but I think just in case they try to really kill this vampire, we just need to unearth a Link Breaker right now. We cast Percussionist and another Flame Breather. No attacks. Another vampire is really bad. Yeah, this was the concern. We'll swing with the insect. We'll play a Bloodthrone Vampire. I don't know. Obviously, if they just don't have much and we can just remove their Flame Breathers, we're okay. But otherwise, I think we're kind of banking on like a Wedding Invitation or a Rite of Consumption to get there, which we have 3 of those. Or, I mean, a Life Staff would just keep us in it for a little while. We got like 5 really good hits. They get a Chain Lightning off their synth. Probably just to the dome. Okay, they have another End the Festivities first, which is pretty frustrating. I guess we'll grow the vampire, sacking this insect. Grow this vampire by... I guess I'd like to end up with a mercenary token. So sack this shambler, then sack this squirrel. Chain Lightning to the face. And I guess if they got a Flame Blast, we're dead, but I think we're dead either way. This hand was also worse because Bloodthrone Vampire, of course, stamina right after. Bloodthrone Vampire is just in general not what we want as much against the red opponents, I think. Alright. In a world where they don't kill us here and we draw like a nested shambler, maybe we can get there because they'd have to chump all 3 Bloodthrone Vampires? I don't know. Friends Resolve into a Chain Lightning. We are dead. Yeah, I think I really should have just mulliganed that hand. I had the feeling and I just didn't go for it. So let's try not to make that mistake again. This hand's not great either. Life Staff is phenomenal. And I like Staminas, but Feeder is the only thing we have with it. So if we draw anything else, it's decent. This does not look like a keepable hand to me. This one I think is even worse. I don't think that's good either. This one's not great, but to be honest, I think it's the best hand we got because we actually have some synergy in some form. Getting rid of a swamp, and I think we're getting rid of that Rite of Consumption. We're going to lead on a Beetle and hope they just play like a Tomb Raider turn 1. Then we can Accursed Marauder, make this a 3/3. It still just dies to a bolt. Not my favorite spot to be, but we just got some stinkers. They don't play anything, which is interesting. I'll play a Sage. I mean, if they just try to bolt this down, at least we get a Village Rites off of it. They don't. I mean, if we're lucky, they'll just play like a Flame Breather here and we can Marauder it away. That's pretty good. I'm going to Village Rites on the end step here because we can get this Beetle out of bolt range. So, draw 2. Vampire and an Unearth, which isn't bad. Shambler. We're just playing a Marauder. We each sack our guy. And we get to attack for 5. Okay, they didn't have a great start. Things are going alright for us. If they get another Flame Breather, we can just unearth the Marauder. There's an Alchemist. Okay. Shambler. So let's Shamble first. Unearth the Marauder. Sack the Shambler. And now we got quite the army. Attack for 7. Things are looking up. Alright. Even if they like end the festivities, we just have like lethal with the Bloodthrone Vampire here. Ren's Resolve into double land. Oof. Another Ren's Resolve. And we're going to take it. To be honest, I thought after throwing game 2 with just that rough keep and then mulliganing to 5, I thought we were going to lose that match. But they kept a pretty shoddy, I think it was 7 cards though. It was, but they didn't have a 1-drop. Seems like they didn't have any interaction at all. And they just had some of these guys. But the 1 of Marauder that we kept in the deck with the 1 of Unearth came in clutch. And we were able to take match 4. Round 5 here. We have the whole Unearth and Rite of Consumption packages and a Marauder and a Shambler. And we're on the play. This hand is trash. Should be obvious, I think. This hand is not great either. So many vampires, but I mean it's okay to keep. Supernatural Stamina would be really good. Quite a bit better than this Unearth, I would I wish it was a supernatural stamina, but if we draw one, that's not bad either. We do get to start with the Shambler into a Blood Throne. If the Blood Throne dies, we play another one. This hand's not terrible, it's just not quite what we wanted. Player Shambler and pass. They're on Elves. Rite of Consumption could be good. Right now, we're not looking amazing, but let's get a Vampire down. Quirion, another Elves, and pass. That's a lot of mana for next turn. Sadistic Glee. That's unfortunate, because Glee would be really good on the Shambler. Start growing it, but we have nothing else to sacrifice. I guess I could sacrifice the Shambler, unearth it, and then Glee it. We have one squirrel to sacrifice. I think we probably just go sadistically on the Vampire. We try to go all in for the Rite of Consumption hit, because this is 4 with the unearth, which is 12, so we could hit for 13 right now. I think the chances they block with any of these guys are low. I think we're just attacking first. And I think we're playing another Vampire this turn. Yeah, so we get in for 2 damage. And the goal is probably next turn we Glee and unearth the Shambler. The following turn we try for a Rite. Quirion, untap, and just hope that we're not too far behind. By too far behind, I mean dead. Generous Scent's going to make attacks hard, but Rite would still be fine. Although they do gain 3 life off of it, which can make it worse. Mystic and pass. Another Glee. Okay. So I double Glee onto a Vampire. That means he gets +4 per creature sacked. So 4, 4, 4. That's 13 damage. Then I can unearth this Shambler for another 8. So if next turn I get a Swamp, I can Rite for lethal. So we're just going for it. We're throwing these on one Vampire and we're trying to use Rite of Consumption. We can't attack, unfortunately, though, because we can't afford to sack any of these on a turn that's not the one we're going for. They're swinging with the Generous Scent. I could block with a Shambler, but I don't think that's necessary. Let's just take 5. They're swinging because they know they can untap it if they want. I'm assuming they don't have a lot else going on. They're passing. Swamp, come on. Okay, Beetle. So I think we can still just win next turn. It's just a turn slower, right? So we play a Beetle. We sack the Shambler and unearth this time. Also, we can attack with the Bloodthorn Vampire because it'll eat something which will grow. Or if they block with the Generous Scent, I can sack the Shambler and the Squirrel, which will use those up, but I'll eat the Generous Scent, which means we'll get 6 permanent counters on the Vampire, meaning it's a 7/7. And then we unearth. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4 to sack for 16. Yeah. Okay, so let's play a Beetle and attack with just the Vampire. They're taking the damage. Maybe I should have sacked this pre-combat. I mean, they would just block, but I could sack. That would be +16. Lethal, but they have a food token. Okay, but we do need to sack this Shambler this turn anyway. So we'll do that. And I mean, everything that we sacrifice now is 4 damage. But then it's also still 2 more damage later because of the counters that stick around. So I think we'll sack the Squirrel. We're not going to go overboard and sack everything else, because I know we're not killing here, but I think 9 is pretty good. And then we'll unearth the Shambler. And then they got to kill us or gain a boatload of life, or this Rite's going to get them. And I'm trying to think of how they could do either of those things. Lead the Stampede. They get all 5. I guess a Masked Vandal can take out a Sadistic Glee if they put a creature in the grave, which they can with the Generous Scent. Is that going to throw off our numbers? I mean, we only have to sack... No, it should be fine. You get rid of a Sadistic Glee, but it's still getting +3/+3 for each, so I still just sacrifice this twice and it'll be good. Now we get our Swamp. I don't think there's anything that they can have. So allow me to sack this Shambler, sack this Squirrel. I think we'll attack in just to force a chump block. It'll grow this a little bit more. I might sacrifice another or 2, just in case they have some weird way to gain like 3 life or something. I'm not really expecting that, but I just don't want to get got. But let's throw this for 15 damage at him. All right, we got there. Elves, same as before. I mean, we're bringing in 9. The Sadisticallys were great there, but in general, I think they're just a little bit lower impact than a kill spell or a way to take a card from their hand. And if this hand were 3 Beetles and a Feeder, it'd be a lot more tempting. I like having the Spinning Darkness as a removal spell, but we don't even have anything we're putting in our graveyard very quickly. I guess I could just go like Feeder, Beetle, play another Feeder and sack it, play another Feeder and sack it. We're going to have like 2 3/3s or 4/4s, 1 removal spell. It just does not seem good enough to me. This one's quite a bit better. It is 1 land, but we've got a lot of card draw. So we're going to need the Link Breaker and the sack outlet, the Fiend. I think we could put away, I think our choices are either a Beetle or a Rites. I think the correct call is to put away a Village Rites. It's going to suck if I don't get a second land in the top like 4 cards, but I just don't think getting rid of a Beetle is worth it. They don't have a 1-drop, which is nice. Spinning Darkness isn't bad. We're going to lead on the Link Breaker in case we have to just sack it right away. They cycle a Generous Ent. They've got a Winding Way. Slow start for them, but they do pick up 2 Well-Wishers. Not super accelerationist, but not bad cards in this match for them. We get to hit for 1 and try to draw into our second land. We get there, very nice. So now, what are we doing next turn? Probably laying down the Bloodthrone Vampire, which means I want this Beetle down, I think. Fintorn Elves, and a Ram Through on the Beetle. Was not expecting a Ram Through. Very unfortunate that we can't Spinning Darkness this, but they got us, okay. Unfortunate. Now we have Spinning Darkness. We're not going to use it on a Fintorn Elves, unless they try to Ram Through again, something important. But we're going to attack with the Mercenary, just play down the Vampire so we can get the Fiend going next turn, I think. But losing that Beetle was kind of backbreaking. We really needed that. Now they're going to lay down a Well-Wisher, maybe 2. Yeah. Okay. Would love our Rusalka. Supernatural Stamina. Okay, with Shambler and the Mercenary token, Shambler would be 4 power, so that means that's going to be 7 guys, which is 14 power. Plus the Mercenary token, 17 total, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16. Yeah, that's 1 short. Huh. That's unfortunate. I could put him to 1, but I've sacrificed everything, and I have just a Vampire, so unless we get a Rites, and they have Well-Wishers, so putting him to 1 is not really the best thing. So I think we instead need to just Mesmeric Fiend, sacrifice it right away, try to take what else they got. They have Timberwatch, Masked Vandal, Nyxborn, and a Vines. I think it's got to be Timberwatch. Or, well, I can just shoot the Timberwatch with a Spinning Darkness, but not if they have Vines. If they play a Timberwatch, they're going to have it up. Nyxborn Hydra's not a big deal right now because they don't have a lot of mana. So, yeah, I guess it is just the Timberwatch elf. And the Vines makes it so I kind of want a Spinning Darkness, a Well-Wisher right now, I think. So let's do this, attack with the Vampire. They're going to take it, and we're going to pick off a Well-Wisher. This will slow how much life they gain considerably. And if they're gaining 3 or 4 life a turn, I can probably keep up with that. If they're gaining 8, it's going to be pretty tough. Play the Masked Vandal. They do Well-Wisher for 3, and they do have a Vines, which can give +4/+4. Oh, but not if they attack with the Elves. Okay, so they get in for 1. Okay, 17 damage. Nested Shambler plus Supernatural Stamina, we just determined last turn with the Mercenary, would be 17. So if they don't block, I think we can just get them. So let's play a Shambler, buff it, and attack. And if they do block, it's fine. We'll just eat a guy. They don't. Let's count one more time. It's going to be a 4/1, which means we get a sacrifice for it, 4 squirrels, itself again, and another squirrel, and a Mercenary. That's 8. That's 17. Stamina the Shambler and start sacrificing. They have 1 mana. They could Vines something, but I don't know what else they can do. They could have Vines the Nested Shambler, actually, if they had thought about it. And if I had thought about it, I might have been hesitant, but this is 17 damage. We are 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the play here, round 6. And this one has... I mean, this one's a keeper. We are on the play, which means it's tougher if we don't get another land, but we do have, if we get a swamp on top, we can do Shambler into a Stamina, Village Rites next turn. We have Beetles. Really, if we just draw some lands, we'll be okay. And if we don't draw lands, it's going to be a tough one, but seems solid enough to me. Opponent mulls to 6. We're going to start on a Shambler because if we don't find a land, we're going to want a Village Rites right away, and if we do find a land, we might Stamina. Witch's Cottage makes me think maybe like a Gardens, like a Packdoll Gardens or something. Get another rights. Okay. Swing for 1, and we're gonna draw 2. And no swamp is pretty unfortunate. Looks like our luck's running out a little bit. Vault of Whispers into a Mephitic Draft. Interesting. Maybe it's just like a 5th copy of Ichor Wellspring, or I guess they could be playing... I've seen some decks that run like the red familiar that reduce the cost of this, but most likely they're just mono black here. I will say if we don't find another land, we're kind of screwed. So I think, even though we have to like discard a bunch of cards if we don't draw anything, I think we're just going for a Village Rites. Just playing a 1/1 here is not going to cut it, so yeah, we got to go for it. There's the swamps, multiple, which is fine. Now I'll just lead with the Shambler, because it's possible we'll want to shamble Stamina. Stambler? They have a Grim Bauble. Oh, that's really annoying. Shambler makes guys equal to its power, since it died by being reduced to 0, it does not do anything. Bojuka Bog is annoying for an Unearth, but not the end of the world. But yeah, I think they're just mono black. Rite of Consumption's okay. Yeah, losing that Shambler was really upsetting. I maybe should have just saved it, because I probably wasn't going to sack it this turn, unless I drew like a Carrion Feeder. So I should have saved it later. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. They could play some like Drown in Sorrow's main deck. So I don't think, as much as it's best for like tempo, I don't think I want to just run out 2 Beetles and a Ghast. Because if we get mopped up, we're kind of just done. So I think we're on like Beetle plus Vampire. And if there is a Drown in Sorrow, I can at least save the Vampire. They have a Cast Down for the Beetle. Well, I'll sack it to the Vampire, just in case they have like a Grim Bauble. Another Bojuka Bog. Village Rites. So I could play a Ghast, Stamina it, sacrifice to the Vampire, make a treasure. It comes back, sacrifice it to the Vampire, make a treasure. So now we still have our 3 mana, but we have a 5/5. Play Infestation Sage, sacrifice that twice for a 9/9, and then Rite of Consumption. And if they don't have anything, that'll win. So I think we try that. Stamina this, sacrifice, bring it back, sacrifice, make a treasure, Infestation Sage, attack, sack the Sage, hit for 9, and fling for lethal. Whew, alright, got there. This is definitely a tough match because they just have a lot of removal, as we've already seen. But that was pretty sick. The Ghast putting in work there. I'm trying to figure out what to bring in this match, because this isn't one I've thought about too much, because we don't see it a lot. Fiends are going to be good, and a Tragic Slip, just as a way to get rid of a Pactol Terror in a pinch. They don't have a lot of creatures, so I don't think we need Invitation. They have a lot of removal, so Glees are worse. Sylvok Lifestaff is unnecessary. And Shambling Ghast was really good there. I'm not sure in general we need them, but I do kind of like them as a way to just pump up a creature for free. I think Curse Marauder seems solid, actually, because they don't have a lot of creatures, and getting us to sack our own guy is not bad, although if they, like, kill this in response, but a lot of their instant speed stuff is unconditional anyway. I think we'll go down a Ghast and give that a try. Here we have not a great one. Our only sack outlet is our finisher, and Beetle just dies. It doesn't do too much. I mean, we can leave up a Stamina with it. This is definitely a match where we really need to be fast, and this is not it, so we're going to get rid of that. Fast or disruptive, I will say, and Mesmeric Fiends are disruptive. We have no way to sacrifice them. Same with this Shambler, although I guess we can Shambler, Stamina, and then Marauder. Yeah, I think we'll keep this one. Get rid of a Fiend. I don't love it. I kind of want to get rid of the Marauder, but it's currently our only way to sacrifice anything. I guess we really need a sacrifice outlet anyway, so we're already hoping for one. I think we will get rid of the Marauder. Not a great hand, but one Carrion Feeder can turn it around. Start with a Blood Fountain. We get an Infestation Sage. I think I'm going to lead on that and not the Shambler, just because we don't have the sack outlet anyway. And if they do just like Grim Bauble, I'd rather they use it on a Sage than the Shambler. The worst part about this is going to be if we're kind of forced to just start playing Fiends with no sack outlet, because they probably just have removal to like take the card back anyway, but we might just have to deal with that. Mortician Beetle's not great at the moment. Attack with the Sage. So I could play a Beetle and a Shambler, but then they just like Drown in Sorrow, and we're absolutely screwed. I I could just beetle and leave up a stamina for if they kill the beetle. Or I could just lead on a fiend just to kind of see what they're working with. I think that's what I need to do. It's really not great, but let's take a look here. Oh, okay. It's more just mono black. I didn't even realize. So Kumbaj Witches, Chittering Rats, and Grey Merchant. Kumbaj Witches is really bad with this fiend. Reckoner's Bargain, Tithing Blade. This is actually not what I was expecting, and honestly quite a bit better for us, I think. Also, they're missing a land drop. We got to take the Witches. Witches screws us up, especially with our fiends, so much here. And if they Tithing Blade, I really don't mind that. So yeah, Witches it is. Like, if they don't draw a land, they're probably just going to go for a bargain on a blood token here, I would guess. They're just cracking the blood, actually. Discard Chittering Rats, and they get a Grim Bauble. Well, that's annoying. Take the Fiend, they get their Witch back. Tragic Slip can kill the Witch, so we'll attack with Sage. We need a Carrion Feeder so bad. But we know 4 of their 5 cards, so I think I'm just going to take the chance and play a Beetle and a Shambler here and try to be a little more aggressive. I mean, we're still just playing a bunch of 1/1s, but that's what we got. They're going to play Witches. All right. We can kill that. Another Beetle. So I can just swing with the team, and if they block anything, I can Stamina. We don't even have to waste our Tragic Slip. I think that's fine. I know if they block Beetle, we don't get as much value, but I think it's just going to be acceptable. They go back and forth, but they decide to block, and we're going to Stamina. So they'll trade. Beetle comes back. Still going to put down another Beetle and just hope there's no Sweeper. And I guess hope 4 1/1s gets there. They're finally going to bargain, gain 1 off the Grim Bauble. They do hit a Swamp. And another Grim Bauble, so we're going to lose a Beetle. Or a Shambler. Probably a Beetle, yep. We get a Swamp. I guess we're throwing out a Mesmeric Fiend. What a game here. I could save it, but I just think we might as well try to stop what's coming. For example, this Cast Down. I think we take the Cast Down, and then they're going to play Chittering Rats. And I'll probably just waste the Tragic Slip so I don't have to draw it again, because nothing will have died. But that's fine. Cast Down it is. So I could save it, and I could attack with these 2, and if they block, I can kill the Chittering Rats. But I just really think I need a new card, so let's cast a Tragic Slip. I then won't have anything to put back on top of my deck. They also had a Swamp, so we know their last cards. Carrion Feeder. There it is. All right. Now we're talking. Crack in with everything but the Fiend, and now we can start putting a clock up. They block the Beetle. We're going to sack the Sage, and I'll sack the Insect token, and we'll just deal them a damage and pass. Saving the Shambler in case we get another Supernatural Stamina or something. They Eviscerator's Insight, their Bauble. They Eviscerator's Insight the Blood Fountain, as they are desperate. Find a Vault of Whispers. We get a Link Breaker, that's going to be lethal. So we'll attack, sack Link Breaker, sack the Mercenary. That's 12. Sack the Shambler. That is 13 damage. And we are 6-0. I believe they've been playing Infect recently, and this is certainly not a good hand for Infect. We don't have a lot of removal in our main deck, and also this is not very fast. In general, this hand's kind of sketchy, but I think we're going to mulligan it for that reason. This hand is not great either. Without the Village Rites, it's probably even worse, to be honest. So I think we'll go down. I think we can manage a 5. This one's not great either, I'll admit, but it's a little better just because we have the Feeder and the Beetle. We do need to find something else too, but I'm going to get rid of a Swamp and the Right. I don't know. Not the best hand, but I think okay. It looks like we are against Infect. Another Beetle makes things interesting. Let's play out 2 Beetles and attack with the Feeder for a damage, and we'll pass. Escape Tunnel. They're just going to use it. They'd have to have, like, Idol Crosa and, like, 3 Mutagenic Growths, but they could get there. No, just hit for 5? Okay. A Carrion Feeder and an Unearth. We got to leave back a Beetle for blocks. At least 1. I think we play a Carrion Feeder. We sacrifice. We could attack for 6. I could bring it right back. But that'd be if we attack with everything. We can't do that, so we can attack for... Yeah, it's not in a great... We're not in a great spot, but I think we just sacrifice and unearth right away. and get in for 6 damage, I guess. We'll pass. They have another escape tunnel and just another +4/+4. I guess that would just kill us. Alright. Well, we are gonna die then to Infect here. The thing about Infect is you just gotta kill every single creature that they have. So we get to bring in Cursed Marauder, Plagued Rusalka, Spinning Darkness, Tragic Slip, as well as all of our fiends. 10 cards, because as long as we are able to kill their creatures and prevent them from attacking, we will win the game. I'm not too worried about flying here. I'm going to take out the Sages, Lifestaff, Sadistically, Rite of Consumption, and Wedding Invitation. This hand looks okay. We have Marauder into Double Unearth. Since we're on the play, we can play a Marauder if they go with like a Glistener Elf or whatever turn 1. Take it away, and we can take away the next 2 creatures played. So we don't have a very proactive strategy, but we're playing against one of the few decks that is quicker than us, and so it's okay to have a reactive strategy in this case. There's a Glistener Elf, which we will just kill with a Marauder, and pass. They have an Ichor Clomber, so we... Ooh, Beetle's a great draw, so we can play Beetle. We want to sack the Marauder to itself, so I'm just going to Marauder, I'm going to sack. Even though I can, I could get the value off the Nested Shambler, but we want the Marauder in the graveyard for the next Unearth, in case they have another creature, which they do. And we get a Plagued Rusalka. So I'm going to Unearth the Marauder yet again. I think I'll just sack it to itself, attack for 6, and play a Bloodthrone Vampire. And the next turn, if they play a creature, I can play the Rusalka. I can pick it off and try to do it again if they have like a buff or something, but no more creatures and they concede. So let's just run it back. All right, on the draw here, we have just a Spinning Darkness and 1 land, no card draw, and no way to ensure the Spinning Darkness comes down quicker than like turn 3. Our opponent mulligans, and this is a relatively fast clock for them, but if this Darkness was like a Tragic Slip or something, I think I might keep it. I think this one's not quite there though. Opponent mulls to 5. This hand's not very good either. Spinning Darkness, again, we can't really get reliably early, but we do have a Shambling Ghast. We don't have a way to sacrifice it. We do have enough stuff that I think we're going to keep this one and just hope we find a sack outlet. Opponent has a Llanowar Augur, turn 1, and we get a Drown in Sorrow. That's not bad. Let's just lead with a Ghast. Looks like they have no second land, and they just Rancor onto the Augur. Okay. Swamp. I'm happy to swing, because if they block, I'll stamina this guy. And I'm happy to take away their +3/+3 and trample. Treasure is not irrelevant either. And we'll pass. They got nothing. I think I'm going to cycle this on Earth, try to find something else. Swamp. Link Breaker. Attack. We are not pressuring them very quickly, but they haven't found a second land, which is good. Get a Beetle, which is solid, although currently our whole board dies to our own Drown in Sorrow, so if we have to use that, we might be in a bad spot. Our opponent's salting off a little bit in the chat, but that's alright. We, honestly haven't won yet, but who knows? It looks like they're not finding a land, which is tough. Opponent discards a Snakeskin Veil. We're going to attack for 4, play a Nested Shambler, and just pass. Alright, and we were able to take the 7-0. I think I might have made top 8, if I just had to guess. Alright, we're in top 8, and we're against K Mario again for the run back. They're on Elves. So, how does this hand look? We have 1 land, but we have card draw. Against Elves, the Marauder can be okay if we hit our second land drop, but that's only if we draw it naturally on turn 2. Bloodthrone Vampire is not as good. Start with a Link Breaker, Village Rites it. I'm not loving this hand, to be honest. I guess we only have 4 pieces of removal, and we do have one of them in our hand. This is feeling a little rough, but I think we'll give it a try. Starting on Link Breaker. They got the Llanowar Elves. We draw the Swamp. So, because it's a Marauder, I don't have a choice in what we pick off, so I think we just take their first elf and hope that they kept like a 1-lander. But in any case, we got to slow them down while we can. Never lucky. They got the second land. Elvish Mystic and a Llanowar Elves. Infestation Sage. I think we need to get a Bloodthrone Vampire down. So I think we're just attacking and playing Bloodthrone. They winding away. Hit 2 more Dorks and a Generosent. They play a Well-Wisher. That's going to be annoying. They Findhorn. Infestation Sage. 1, 2, 3. So if we play these two, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bloodthrone Vampire can be almost lethal. I think we start with the Shambler, pump up the Shambler, and I could Village Rites it away to see if we hit like a land or something. It's less likely we get a block though. I think we can kind of bully a block out of them if we just like play an Infestation Sage. Well, I guess this shows that we don't have lethal on board, so maybe they'll just take it because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 2 is 14, 15. So yeah, I guess they could just take it. Might be better. They do block with the Findhorn Elves though, so we'll just sack the Shambler. I could keep the Shambler in case I get a Supernatural Stamina. Also having the Flyer from the Infestation Sage is decent, but also having more 1/1s isn't bad. I guess they might just cast a Generosent here. So yeah, let's go with the Shambler, I guess, and just eat their Elf. Pass to them. Quirion Ranger. Llanowar Elves. Elvish Mystic. I assume they're playing all 12 of these guys that they can. Masked Vandal. And they have a Generosent in hand. But they get to Well-Wisher for 1,000,000. Yup. We kind of need a Shambling Ghast to pick off the Well-Wisher. Mortician Beetle. We really need a Shambling Ghast, so let's just start with that by looking for it with the Village Rites on the Sage. Just another Sage and a Beetle. I will pump the Marauder so it can trade with the Vandal or whatever else, and we'll start attacking. They'll probably just take it, but that's what we got to do. Even if we could somehow present 30 damage here, they can still gain another 7. Oh, another 8 because of our Infestation Sage, which is an elf. That's good to know. I think for that reason we might just sacrifice it right now, just so that we're not giving them extra life. Otherwise, I think we'll keep our guys around. Pass. They have another Vandal, and gonna tap for their Generosent. Gain a bunch of life. And we got a Shambler. We'll play that, pump it with the Nested, or the Mercenary. I guess we're just attacking with these two now. They've got a Generosent, but we have enough guys that if they want to block, we can definitely eat it. They're gonna gain some life with the Well-Wisher. And I don't think there's really a reason to throw away any of our fodder right now, while the damage is kind of negligible. Lead the Stampede is a pretty good top deck from them. 2 Timberwatch Elves, Priest of Titania, Generosent. Well, now even if we find something to pick off the Well-Wisher, I think we're going to lose to this Timberwatch Elf. Well, both of them. They gain 10 and past us. We get a Rite of Consumption. Just too late. I mean, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 times 2. We can throw this for 27 damage, but that's obviously not going to do it. Even if we get like a Wedding Invitation next turn into a swamp, we could hit for 27 and then throw for 27. That's 54, but they can gain way more than that. So we just drew a little poorly. We're going to definitely lose that game though. We do get that nice 9-card swap, bringing in a whole bunch of removal and hand disruption though. On the play here, Feeder into Mesmeric Fiend is pretty decent. Plus Sage. We're going to keep this one. If we want to get really greedy, we could wait till turn 3 for the Fiend to stamina it and take 2 cards from their hand, which we're probably not going to do. We would only do it if we draw a land right here, because that's the only way we would ensure we'd be able to do it. But I'll probably just take a card anyway. We do draw the Swamp. I really wish this is a Beetle, but I think we just do it now. It could be pretty important to take a Priest of Titania or a Quirion Ranger or whatever. So let's just try to take their card. Their hand is stacked, unfortunately. 2 Priests, a Well-Wisher, Llanowar Elves, Hydra, meet in a tavern. So next turn they play a Priest of Titania, even if we take one. They don't have another land. It would be great if we could pick off this Findhorn Elves then. But we haven't seen any of our removal. Generally, I think we need to slow them down, but taking one Priest just feels useless. They play Priest, and then the next turn they play Priest and Llanowar Elves and Well-Wisher. I think we got to take the Well-Wisher here. If we don't find removal for it, it's going to kill us. or rather keep them alive, and the priests are redundant, otherwise we would have taken one of those. They draw a land, which is also pretty good for them, because then they get down to Llanowar Elves. Drown in Sorrow off the top. It's a swamp. Infestation Sage and a Carrion Feeder will attack. Stamina this, we can get 4. We can hit for like 7. Not good enough. I guess we just hit for 2. I don't think hitting for 2 is worthwhile. We're gonna do this. We're gonna sack this feeder as well, because I don't think there's a reason we need it around. Sack this insect, and I guess we'll just hit for 5. Another priest, meet in a tavern, as a lead to Stampede, Mystic, Ent, and a Hydra, and they just have enormous things to cast next turn. We draw a swamp. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They can bestow a Hydra for almost lethal. Well, let's swing with the team. They're going to chump, and I'll pass. Drown in Sorrow off the top is really what we needed there, but even now it doesn't do enough because they're just going to have a Generous Ent and a Hydra probably. Yeah. Plus they gained life. Mesmeric Fiend. We can take the other Hydra. I guess we will. Exile it. And can't attack. Attack with the Hydra. We can't chump block. Village Rites. Okay. We will sacrifice the Sage. I guess we'll sacrifice the Insect. Plagued Rusalka. A little late. Unfortunately, we are just not going to get there. Pretty unfortunate. A little frustrating that we went 7-0 into losing our top 8 match. The deck felt entirely different in this match. It just did not feel like it was operating. But of course, we still had a really good run, and I'm not too upset with our results. So there you go. We went 7-0 in the main event, and then we unfortunately lost our first matchup in the top 8 to a player that we had previously crushed. Now that player went on to win the whole challenge, so I can't be too upset. But I do feel like our deck played quite a bit worse in that match than it did the rest of the event. We were kind of high-rolling a lot of the time. We definitely had a good amount of luck being able to navigate through those first 7 matches. We did play against a lot of decks that are more challenging for us. White Weenie is not an easy matchup in general. Elves is not an easy matchup, though we were able to get them the first 2 times and lost to them the third, the time that really mattered. Overall, though, the deck feels really clean. We were able to showcase a wide variety of what this deck can do. Supernatural Stamina on Nested Shambler we were able to do a little bit. We even used a Rite of Consumption on that Shambler once to just make a whole bunch of guys. We did it double sadistically on a Bloodthrone Vampire to Rite of Consumption. Against Infect, we were able to recur our Accursed Marauders to just sweep every single one of their creatures, and a bunch of other sweet interactions. I spent the last 3 months playing this deck, recording all of my stats, and then writing that guide. So if you're interested in any of that, check the description. I also started the Black Sac Discord a couple of months ago. There's a link in the description to that as well. And I plan to release a standalone 10 to 15 minute video giving a better overview of the stock list. That'll probably be coming out in the next week or so. Thank you to my patrons, including my $10 patron, Howard Granger. Your support makes it a lot easier for me to be able to spend all this time making these guides and playtesting these decks. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next time.